Welcome back to the Scaling Sustainability Impact podcast, where we explore the technologies and strategies driving sustainable transformation. I'm your host, Victoria Carlos, from Siemens Digital Industries Software, and today we're going to be discussing how artificial intelligence is reshaping the sustainability landscape. A recent Reuters report found that 91% of respondents see industrial AI as a key driver of the energy transition in industries within 3 years. Meanwhile, the World Economic Forum reports that ethical supply chain practices can boost revenue by 20%, cut costs by 16%, and enhance brand value by 30%. And AI is a key enabler of actualizing these benefits. But how can businesses implement AI effectively, and what challenges of implementation still lie ahead? To break it all down, I'm joined by Eryn Devola, Head of Sustainability at Siemens Digital Industries, and Pina Schlombs, Sustainability Lead and Industrial AI Thought Leader at Siemens Digital Industries Software. We hope you enjoy the show. Eryn and Pina, thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome to our Scaling Sustainability Impact podcast. To get us started, can you each share a little bit about your roles here at Siemens and what drew you to sustainability? Eryn, why don't you get us started?
So I have the pleasure of being responsible at Siemens Digital Industries for our sustainability from three really different aspects. First, I'm responsible for our own footprint. So this is what's happening within our factories, with how we travel, with the footprints that we make, both in carbon, in biodiversity, in substances, in the operations that we have here at Siemens. I secondly then get to take those impacts and look at what are the cradle to next cradle impacts of the products we produce. So taking those impacts in our own manufacturing facilities and in our own software development and looking upstream to our supply chains, looking downstream to our use phases. This could be the amount of energy a motor takes, or could be the processing of a computer application that we have out there. So that's my second focus. And then the third focus, and sometimes the most exciting one, is really how we're able to help others become more sustainable with the products that we put onto the market. So how they can use our software solutions, our automation solutions to become more sustainable in their own realization process. It's really the way that we move from thinking about a footprint to really making a positive handprint by helping others. So I have the great opportunity to do all three of those things from my current role.
So happy to be in the podcast today. I'm Pina Schlombs, and I have the pleasure of being responsible in the Digital Industries Software division, working with not only our own entities, but also external customers to leverage our digital technologies and engaging them on how we can become more sustainable in our own products and the manufacturing side, in our supply chain. So basically leveraging all the software capabilities that we have towards optimizing, making transparent where environmental footprints come from, and in the end, reaching our net zero ambitions.
Excellent. So a bit of a long-winded question to get us started. But Siemens has been talking about the potential of AI for industries for a few years now, but we're really seeing the benefits of AI start to appear to solve some of today's biggest sustainability challenges. Eryn, how do you see the importance of sustainability for industrial businesses? And Pina, in what areas do you see AI making the biggest impact for sustainability in a manufacturing environment? And maybe, Eryn, you can get us started here first.
1/3 of all emissions that we have come from industry. So industry has a very huge lever. And in fact, just saving 1% of the energy used by industry, we're really talking about 90 million tons of CO2 emissions, which means it has a very big impact on sustainability. But what we also know is that the more sustainable a company becomes, the more long-term resilient and then profitable they remain. And so we see sustainability as a key lever for long-term business viability because of its big role in being more resilient and just being more efficient in how you use resources. And we see technology, of course, of being the big lever for that, and AI being one of those key technologies. And I'm sure Pina has so much more she can elaborate on here, but really it's such a key to being successful here.
Yeah, no, I can absolutely second that and build upon that. What I see as there are four main areas I see them having the most value where AI comes in. And the first one I would highlight is basically touches upon the last point you made, Eryn. There's like identifying where we have the biggest levers in our own operations, in our own portfolio, and then also being able to not only analyze these where we stand today, but then predict into the future and see what would lead to the biggest reduction in impact, and how does that compare, and how does it affect other business objectives that we have? Be that growing profitably, how do we see the regulatory impacts progressing in the markets that we operate in? So basically what AI allows us to do at that level is see into the future, take into account what we see today, how technologies are developing, and then make decisions based on those data that we can gather from the scenario analyses to then dive a little deeper, more into be that products, be that production and supply chain. And those would be the other three areas where I see the main levers. And just highlighting a couple of points for each. So on products, I would say like in product design, we really have the biggest lever in it of itself to determine the environmental impacts a product will have over its lifetime. So roughly 80% studies say is what can be impacted during the design phase of products as of environmental impacts. So, and here we have applications like we can use generative design to design products with completely new ways of design forms and design options that we as humans have not been able to conceive, and simply are also go beyond the complexity that we've traditionally been able to master in terms of the multi-interdependent optimization criteria we want to capture and have to capture actually today, to capture not only the product life cycles that we have traditionally pursued, but also go further more into circular economy models, which span and go beyond the traditional life cycle phases that we are very used to and have optimized to designing for decades and hundreds of years even. Eryn, I think you might want to tap into the product design field here.
Yeah, I get so excited when you talk about it because there's so much potential there. And it's about taking on more and more data than maybe you've had before, and not just trying to process all of that, but being able to use AI to turn it into decisions. And I think that's really the big key here is that, I always say this, I'm a mechanical engineer by training, but we really throw a lot at these guys now, these designers, these innovators, by opening up so many, boundary conditions that used to be there, and you used to only be able to change a few things. With the power of AI, I can consider so many more creative options and then turn that into a better design because it's guiding me to a decision. So I just can't help myself but get excited in this space sometimes.
Oh, absolutely the same. And the fascinating thing for me is that with AI, we can today go beyond right? The expertise that we have until today and beyond what we can even imagine, right? Because AI can capture the full opportunity space of design, taking into consideration all the criteria that we need to take into consideration, and then run through thousands of designs, options to identify right the optimum. And it can be completely different of what we've never even perceived possible. And I think that's really, for me, one of the most fascinating aspects of design, AI-powered design, right? And I think we actually need these kinds of breakthrough innovations today because the timeline that we have to transform ourselves, the industry towards sustainability is so short. I mean, the timelines are in industrial timescales, really in just a blink of an eye. 2030 is just around the corner, right? So we need these powerful general purpose technologies that AI is, and infuse that into all the technologies and systems that we're already using and converging that with the technologies we already have in engineering today. And crucially, also link that to production, because we can change so much in the virtual space, in digital twins, right? We can play around, we can simulate, we can play with scenarios on how products might look like. But it's crucial that we take into account how they can actually be manufactured, right? So that's what would need to change in terms of parameters on machines that will make these, how would the lines need to be different, and then also going into the next step, considering, okay, can I actually source the materials? Maybe just thinking about like bio-based plastics or new materials that come into the market, right? Can I source them in the right quality, in the right quantity over the next years that I'm planning my sales cycle? So there are so many questions that need answering, and we don't want to take decisions, right, based on trial and error approaches or just on gut feeling. We want to be taking these decisions with confidence based on data. And that's really what the approach with AI allows us to do at a very fast pace. As you said, Eryn, taking into consideration so many different parameters. If we just think about what we can think about in production realm. So, I mean, you said like even in our own factories, right, we have so many users of energy, right? Just to be able to understand where is all the energies coming from? By which operation do we have peaks? Can we shave these peaks? Can we reduce the total energy input or the total energy use? Can we minimize production waste by maybe predicting the product quality of the products running through the lines and then mitigating and correcting even before they reach the end of the line to eliminate the waste that might be incurred, right? So there is so many aspects of where we can not only like increase the efficiency, what we've been doing for years actually, right? But take these insights that we can gather from all the data we're collecting today and turn it into optimization levers. And just on the machines themselves, right? We can increase their longevity by predicting when best to maintain them for longer. And then linking that also, the running production lines with our supply chain, right? So we need to have the seamless interaction between the running lines and our supply chains and getting a transparency simply on what are we purchasing from the supply chain that feeds into our products and is being incorporated into the final product. And simulating all the routes that we need to be taking, not only upstream, but also in the downstream logistics, and planning also for the reverse logistics that we'll be seeing when we tap into the full potential of the circular economy. So big run through, but basically that would be like the four main levers I see and areas where AI taps into benefits for sustainability.
I mean, it really sounds like the kids on the video games. We have a way to cheat time. It's like we have a cheat code for the video game here and just being able to do more, but so much faster.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one aspect that maybe we can add is also from our own experience, right, is that we can democratize a lot of the expertise that we need. And we need it in a broad scale. We need it basically in every team, right? The sustainability expertise to make those decisions, okay, not only for the classical performance, time, cost, quality parameters, but also for sustainability, right? And we can bring that expertise to the people, to the teams that we have today, be that in engineering, be that in purchasing, be that in supply chain, be that in manufacturing, by incorporating these capabilities into the systems and using AI to allow them to make even these complex decisions, training it off with the parameters that they're used to working with.
This has been episode 1 of 3 on our discussion covering AI for sustainability. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you again soon.